We're halfway through our little courtyard makeover. This was a tired space before that you didn't really want to look at, let alone use, and we're turning into something that really draws your eye from the front of the house and a space that's really inviting. The fire pit's done and dusted. That's a previous little video that you can go back and watch if you like, because the principles of construction are exactly the same to what we're making here. It's no use having this without somewhere to sit and admire it. So we're working on a bench with a couple of piers on each end. The material, it's called AB Courtyard, and it's the York block. And on the ends, we've got the corner blocks and some capping stones. So there's really only 3 materials you need, and it's as simple as 1, 2, 3, and you've created a feature for your courtyard. The footings for this wall is exactly the same as the fire pit, just a weak sand cement mix. 6 parts sand, 1 part cement, float it off and get it nice and level. And like I always say, concentrate on that, because if you get that flat and level, the blocks go down in easy. The only difference are these piers, because you're laying a different block. They're obviously bigger. They're 400mm long, and when you put a half next to it, you're ending up with 600. So when you're doing your pad for these, allow for 700 or 800, so the footings are a little bit wider than the block. That way you've got a bit of play with it. And the other tip, start with a pier, lay your wall, but don't do the pier at the other end. Get full blocks going, and you can do the pier when you're finished at the right height. So I'm going to start here with my second course. The corner blocks are really easy to work with. They've got 2 different faces, one slightly longer than the other. So if you're making squares like this, you go for the longer face, that way you have nice tight joints. You can go up to 6 high. I'm only going 5 because 5 will be in scale with my bench, which will be 3 blocks. I'm going to glue the capping stone down, but you don't have to worry about gluing these guys down because they're a fair weight, they'll sit in place. They look good at either end of a bench like this, but I reckon they look just as good whether you do them as piers in a fence or just either side of a driveway. Upside down, Miss King. Now I need to get my great-great-great-grandfather to help me lift the capping stones in. See, they're filming you? It's television. It wasn't invented when you were my age. I'm just running my fingers down the edges to make sure that the capping stone's roughly sitting with the same bevel over the whole thing. It's about 10mm, and it feels right. How good is a little wall looking? I think the piers at each end really dress it up. Now, as far as cuts go, there are a few in this one. If you start off with a full of the bottom course, on the second course you're going to need 2 halves, but that's only 1 block that you can split in half. You can use a bolster and a lump hammer, you can use a little angle grinder, make sure you got masts and eyes on, or you can use a wet saw. And for the top course, because the curve is different to this one, you might have to jig them around and cut a few of them. But the pier goes up and the lid goes on without any cuts whatsoever. You might notice that this wall's a little bit higher than the fire pit, and I've done that for one reason. It looks better and I can look down on the fire. So in other words, I can see how my marshmallows are going. But I haven't finished yet because I'm going to dress the floor up. And for the floor, just like the river pebbles inside the fire pit, it doesn't get much easier than this. I'm using crushed granite or eco granite, deco granite, whatever you want to call it. It goes down as simple as this. You can get it in a range of colours. I've gone for the orangey brown. There's a yellower one and a redder one. But I think this one complements the AB Courtyard sandstone perfectly. If you're not going to drive on it, you can simply whack it with your size 10s, sweep it off and you're done. If it's on a slope, you might mix a little bit of cement into it so it can set hard. But here on a flat courtyard, 5 minutes and I'll be done. The best thing about both these little jobs is you can knock them over in a weekend. The fire pit one and the little wall the next. And it doesn't matter whether you got all your friends and family or just your best mate with you. Sitting out here, having a little marshmallow, well, it's as Aussie as. And it puts a smile on my face, and I hope you do it in your backyard and it puts a smile on yours too. Sorry Dan, too much sugar mate, but they're good for me.